Hey guys, and welcome to the Hobby News. Okay, so we've got some pretty nice little releases here. Well, not releases, but a preview, I guess, of some pretty nice minis coming in the future. I guess these were prompted by leaks and so on around the internet, and so GW has decided to show us off the minis in their best light, I guess, which is, I suppose, the right thing to do. And we've got a nice little treat at the end for another faction, which I think is going to be pretty fun. So, yeah, to start with, we'll begin with the Imperial Guard, or the Astra Militarum. So we've got these leaks which show it was this image, I think, that got leaked, and showed all the new minis. So they're gonna tell us what they are and get on with it. So that's pretty cool, right? So we'll come down here and we'll take a look at her. So Ursula Creed. So this is, I think, Creed's daughter, I think. We'll double check, but I'm pretty sure something like that. So Ursula Creed is the Lord Castellan of Cadia, and we dare any of you to tell her that she can't hold the post simply because Abaddon, or Abaddon, depending on how you say it, destroyed that entire planet. Creed follows in her father's footsteps, but while nepotism is alive and well in the 41st millennium, this is no hereditary title. She's earned that mantle like her father before her and is every bit as ruthless, tactical, and unflinching. Yeah, so it's basically the daughter. And yeah, I was going to say, hasn't Cadia already been destroyed? So I'm not quite sure what Cadians do anymore, or where they are in the lore, or how they're living. Maybe on ships, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe there's a chunk of the planet left. I'm not really quite sure what's going on Cadia, or if there is, like, how much of the Cadians are actually left. So it's interesting that they've chosen to stick with Cadia as the main kind of, I guess, miniatures push, and they haven't chosen to sort of shift to a different Imperial Guard company, or planet, or whatever. But looks like we're sticking with Cadians, which is fine. They're, like, very much a quintessential look for Imperial Guard. Their uniforms and so on is highly recognizable for that faction, and yeah, it's cool. It'll be lovely to see some others as well, but I guess for Imperial Guard, it's a massive undertaking to produce all of that and design it all and put it out there, and obviously they want to make sure these things sell, so it's kind of a tricky move to go all in on Imperial Guard. So I guess they're sticking with what they know, which is fine. We should see some nice releases, as we're about to have a look at. It's great for Imperial Guard players, although this is some time away, as they say at the end of the article. When we're not really there yet, but because of the leaks, they're showing it to us. So yeah, let's have a look at Ursula. So it's a great model. It's really nice. It's very much like all of Imperial Guard models are in this style. The brass, the top heroes, and she's got the big shoulder pad jacket on. The nice 80s rock star jacket going on with the high collar. It's cool. It's very much in theme with their designs of Imperial Guard, and it's nice that they're chosen a woman this time to represent the leader. I think that's a nice move. And definitely one that has a lot of character in the face. If you look at that sculpt, that isn't your usual sculpt for a miniature. They're paid. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a likeness of someone, because if you have a look at that face, there's a lot more going on, a lot more of secondary and tertiary forms in those muscles they've managed to get in there, which isn't usual for these type of sculpts. They're usually a lot more simplistic, but we can really see quite a unique facial expression and look here, which is pretty cool. Like, I really like that. I think that's interesting. Would be interested to hear the story about how this was designed, because I kind of feel like that might be a likeness. If we take a closer look at the face, so we'll come down here. Yeah, there is something going on there that doesn't feel exactly like it's just any old sculpt, or at least they're looking at references of someone. I kind of feel like it's got something to do with the jawline, a little bit of the attitude in the eyes. Yeah, there's just some details here that feel like it could be a likeness. But otherwise, look, I mean, it's great. It's a nice, unique character for a woman in Warhammer. It's hard to get that middle ground where you've got that strong look, but also there's feminine qualities there, softer qualities like the little bit of extra, I guess, fat around the neck. Like this is an older woman, maybe middle aged, something like that. That's what it kind of feels like to me. and a very motherly, almost motherly type look to this face, right? That's what it kind of feels to me. There's something nurturing about this figure. That's a very hopefully deliberate thing by the sculptor, because she is the leader, and that's kind of a nice motif to have for a leader figure like that, to have that kind of idea, especially in a 40k universe, where it is, I guess, highly patriarchal. There's mostly men at the top, but to have her that, as well as Cadia being a destroyed planet and sort of lost suns, to have a female figure at the head that's kind of shepherding the remnants of that culture together is a very classic kind of, I guess, archetype idea. It's certainly a lot of it's a very European thing. Like a lot of mythology stories and so on have this type of idea going through them, and this is no different. So yeah, I really like that. The choice for all these different elements on this figure is very well done by the designers and the sculptor. Again, I'd love to hear the story about how this was made, because there's more going on here than you first look at when you're studying this. It definitely has a few little elements that are unique. It has all the normal pieces. The chest plate, the Cadian chest plate. A lot of the other details are very much, just like par the course for a Cadian figure, except for that face, and obviously the whole stature of her, which, as I said, she feels a bit more middle-aged woman, which is unique. Normally you get sort of fighting fit superhero kind of anatomy and poses for most of these sorts of minis, but we've gone for a more, I guess, realistic look at a woman at her age, which is great to see. It adds a lot of character to this. So you might see me paint this one on the channel. That would be a really great tutorial to sort of dig into, doing things like subsurface scattering for the blood under the skin and so on, doing those kinds of effects on skin details. You can see the heavy metal painters have done that here. You've got a lot of redness around the nose, all that sort of thing. It's actually a really nice face to do that sort of tutorial on. So maybe we'll do that when this eventually drops. But all in all, very, very cool. I like where they're going with this. If more of the characters end up like this, where there's a lot of personality for these guard figures, I think that's a really good thing, because they can get a bit samey, much like Space Marines. You can get this very samey kind of feel, but adding those extra little moments of interest like that in the face is a good thing. So yeah, all the details are cool. You've got a little scepter there with the jewels, all the usual paraphernalia that these Cadians have are on her, which is great, and even a helmeted version. That's pretty cool too. I like that. All in all, really fun, right? And then we've got these Kazakins. So this is basically just a plastic version of the old metal ones, right? And obviously a little bit bigger, probably. The proportions are better, all of those sorts of things. So there's not much really to say on this guy, except that he's basically just a solid plastic version of what's come before, and that's totally fine. That's a great thing. The Kazakin were I remember when they were released. I was around for that, and when the original kind of metal models were released, and these are just a good redo of something that already exists, and that's great, and will allow people to sort of do some more elite themed type armies and that sort of thing, conversions and so on, and I think that's cool. So yeah, all in all, that's a great one. But I think the jewel on this article really is coming up, and for most people, this particular model is a love or hate model. I'm in the love category. It's just a fun, quirky model, and they haven't really changed it much. The new version is very much like the old, with a few little modern, adjustments, and I think they'll sit nicely together if you've got the old ones and the new ones. And then we're talking about the Sentinel. So the Sentinel's a great model. I was around for its release, the original one. I was working for the company then, and it's a great model. It reminds you of Star Wars. It has all of that, the walkers and so on. And that's exactly what it's designed to sort of evoke in you, is that childhood nostalgia for that type of thing, and that's great. And it's just a fun model. It's a fun model to put together. It's a fun model to paint. What can I say? These are just really cool. I love them. They're just cute, right? And back in the day, so what you would do is, this is like one of those old school sort of, I guess, historical tank building kind of model making kind of ideas, where you get the guitar string, you get the metal guitar string, you take off part of the coil and you leave a little bit of the coil at the bottom, and you get the inner wire, which is like a wick and bendy, and you can make yourself like realistic aerials and so on. And you remove these and you put the wicks on, and you end up with like a really nice little whippy aerial. It looks really cool. You'll see like tank models do that for like the long ones that they have that stretch the length of the tank and then get strapped down by like a cable, that sort of thing. And you can do that really well with Imperial Guard. And I remember that was one of the things that we were doing back then, like pilfering all of the historical or the war modelers kind of tricks and trying to add that to our Imperial Guard. And it makes them look really cool, putting all of the sort of like the baggage and all of the sort of extra little pieces that tanks usually have on the outside of them, and you sort of litter your tank with all of that. It looks really cool, and yeah, for these it was the little wicks coming up out of the top, and I had a bunch of these Sentinels, and it's just cool, right? So I'm really happy for this kit. It does actually say that there might be even an open-topped version. It says the incredible new kit, classic, the Sentinel, yeah. These agile walker vehicles are superb hunter killers and can be equipped with a variety of weaponry and war gear that enables them to deal with any foe, from blasting apart a tide of frenzied cultists to bringing down Xeno monstrosities, yeah. But it does say something about what you can do with it. So it says, can be assembled as an armored Sentinel if you prefer to feel the wind in your hair as you slay the enemy, yeah, okay. As an armored Sentinel, or if you prefer. Okay, so it is sort of... There must be an open-topped version of this. This must be the closed version, because that was the same with the original kit. You had the option to do, there were extra parts you could do to make it closed, or you could have it open. I think at the time that might have been... I want to say maybe Forge World parts. I can't really remember now, but there was definitely a closed version and an open version. So I will probably get the same for this. They're just not showing us that to keep something, I guess, in secret for when it releases. But yeah, look, really, really fun sculpt, right? Anyone that's from that generation will have an endearing feeling towards this model, and yeah, should be cool. And obviously a little bit bigger, I think. It'll probably be a little bit taller, so that's cool. So yeah, now I think we'll go on to the last, the last little piece of new goodies for GW, and that's we've got another Votann character. So this one is one of their little mechanized robots. I guess they call them Ironkin. And, it's interesting. It's not quite the direction I thought they were going to go in with these, but it's close, and it'll grow on me. So we've got these sort of robot, I guess, miners or diggers, or they're sort of helpers, I guess, that do their work for them. It's very much like the Mechanicus sort of those what are they called? The iron robots, the ones that they have. Oh God, I can't remember their name now. Anyway, someone can tell me in the comments. But it's got that same 1950s robot vibe. So that's okay. As I've said before, the 1950s robot style isn't my favorite. So this is kind of a quirky model for me. It's cool, but I was hoping they'd go for more like the imagery here, go in a slightly more Tau vibe for all of their mechanized stuff. These rounded forms, but in a slightly more modernized sci-fi direction. I thought that was kind of the place that they would go with these, but looks like they're carrying forward that 1950s robot look, along the way. So we'll see what the other sort of larger mechs and so on look like, but I'm hoping they have slightly more of this more modern look here, which there isn't much of a difference, right? Like that's almost the same thing, but I think it might just be this bubble canopy here that throws it off. I don't know. If you look at the side view, it's kind of, see that? It's kind of, I don't know. There's something about that's not quite all there for me, but the rest of it's cool. Like all of the little bits and pieces, his little apron here with all of the tools and, everything about it. It's a very quirky, fun little cute model, right? But it'll be interesting to see how they develop that further across larger models, vehicles and so on. So I am very curious, but all in all, it's dwarves in space. So, it's fun no matter what the individual sculpts are like. As a collection, this is going to be a great army to, paint and play with, most likely. It's dwarves. They're cool. If you like dwarves, you'll like dwarves. So, it's a fun one. But yeah, just that little design aesthetic choice there. I don't know if I'm totally vibing on that, but the rest of it's fun, like all of these weapons and little tools and bits and bobs that it's got. It bodes well for the release because it's showing you a lot of the, I guess, the sort of day-to-day paraphernalia that these dwarves use in their everyday, you know, like, and that's cool because it's adding a bit more, I guess, flavor for the background of what these dwarves are doing and where they are, and that's nice. You don't always get that sort of context on a model. Often it's just like the war version, you know, their weapon, you know, what they're doing currently in a battle, that sort of thing. But here we're getting, you know, ropes and hooks on the backpack, a lot of that sort of thing, hammers and so on. And if we take a look down here at the artwork, you know, you've got them working and digging and doing different sorts of tasks, and that's sort of giving you a bit of a look into their society and how they work, and that's nice. And if that shows through on their models generally, I think that'll be pretty fun, because it just gives you a little bit more of that narrative and storyline behind what's going on. A little bit like the Genestealer cults. Genestealer cults have that as well, where you see the sort of the some of the elements of their working life before they became, you know, murderous xenomutants. You know, like they have a bit of that on the models, and I think that's really nice. It just adds a bit of context, right? So yeah, all in all, pretty fun bunch of previews today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit that like button, subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one.